You know, life's too short to settle for less. You deserve the best. I like how you.
What is up? It's your boy Darian, aka the pettiest Laker fan. We have Edwin Garcia at eCreates88 here. And we have a lot to discuss today in regards to basketball and sneakers. A lot of sneaker news today. And some very this one juicy thing today. We have the Donovan Mitchell trade, which came out of nowhere, and then we also have the lawsuit between Nike and John Geiger that has been resolved, and much more. So let's go ahead and get into that. How are you doing today, Edwin?
I'm doing good, man. Really excited to talk about everything that we just went through in the rundown, especially that Donovan Mitchell trade. It was crazy. It was just middle of the day, and next thing you know, Donovan Mitchell's out of Utah and in the wonderful land that is known as Cleveland, Ohio.
Absolutely. I feel like, for me, it's kind of really weird to me, like, seeing Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert get traded, because I don't think there's, like, any, like, duo that has, like, reached the heights that they have, where they're just like, let's break it up. Like, we've already found the ceiling for this group, because, like, Donovan Mitchell in the regular season is pretty good, but Donovan Mitchell in the playoffs has shown that he goes to, like, a whole nother level, and, don't get me wrong, I don't want to look at any VORP, for Rudy Gobert, but, like, he's a good basketball player, So I don't know, it's kind of weird and surreal seeing that. What do you think?
Yeah, so again, just in case someone hasn't been paying attention or just didn't hear about it, from Woj was the one who first reported it, and he reported that Utah was trading Donovan Mitchell to Cleveland for Lauri Markkanen, Abaji, and Colin Sexton, which is the other big move as well, and 3 unprotected first-round picks and 2 pick swaps. So I was surprised. We heard some rumblings. Utah's been selling everything. We know that. They got rid of Gobert. They've been involved in a lot of rumors with the Knicks, rumors with the Lakers, rumors with other teams. They've been a team trying to unload their assets and figure something out. So it was still really shocking to me and surprising. I thought he was going to be a Knick. I thought that's where they were going, but it seems like Danny went with going somewhere else, thinking of another vision, and making sure he got as many draft picks as possible. So I think that was his main goal. I think that's been his main goal the whole time. He wants as many picks. He got like 52 picks for Rudy Gobert. And now he got another 4 or 5 going for Spider Mitchell. So what did you think hearing this, or how good do you think this makes Cleveland right now?
I definitely don't agree with Kendrick Perkins, who on Twitter said that this is the best starting 5 in the NBA. Did he say, or was it the Eastern Conference? Either way, those are like, wow, they haven't even dribbled a basketball together. I'm very interested, as both of those guys are high usage players. Like, I don't think we've ever talked about those. Both of those guys are like play with the ball in their hand, and I think Donovan Mitchell more so needs to have the ball in his hand than I'm blanking on his name right now. Not Colin Sexton, but the one that the Lakers traded in that trade.
Which trade?
In the Cleveland trade. He's on the Cleveland. He's still on Cleveland. Their point guard.
Garland?
Garland? Darius Garland, yeah. So Darius Garland, he's like one of the best shooters in the league. Like, so if he needed to stand in the quarter for a play or two and shoot a 3-pointer, like, I can see that. But I also think you're kind of like, the fact that he's that good of a shooter, you're kind of taking away from what he does. So like, both of those guys, they're kind of small too. So I'm just really. I'm interested to see how that's gonna play out. I don't have this where I think it's just automatically gonna work or automatically gonna be very good. I think they can be even if they don't mesh perfectly, that they can be a good backcourt. But I just don't have that same type of excitement, aside from the fact that I love the NBA and that it's just things like this happen where it's just no one was even thinking about Cleveland.
Yeah, no one wants to think about Cleveland. You're right. I think it does. It makes them a really interesting team, and a team to definitely watch the first 10, 20 games to see how it works and how good it is. Like you said, Spider Mitchell is an incredible talent offensively, but that defensive ability is kind of lacking there. But in the regular season, it doesn't hurt him as much. And with Cleveland being a team that's so defense focused and have been kind of an up and coming team the last couple of years, this might be, I think they felt like, hey, we got to shake it up. So kudos to them for, one, getting the trade happening, and two, mixing it up, right? They're not just going to say, oh, I know Collins going to get better, let's just re-roll it. They're like, no, you know what? We're going to take a risk. Maybe Donovan cooks like crazy, takes them to the Eastern Conference Finals, and next year they'll be like, okay, maybe one more move away. Let's get another piece and let's really go for it. You never know. So I think it definitely makes them interesting. It makes them, they're the front of our show. Like, not that our show is the biggest thing in the world, but
no, it is. It will be. If you're listening right now, this is like you're getting to listen to it before it becomes the biggest show in the world, but it will be the biggest.
Right, but we take it to that serious amount, and we try to find the biggest story to put in front. Yeah. Cleveland's in the front of our show. That wouldn't have happened, probably ever if they don't do this trade.
Yeah, not without LeBron. It's either LeBron's coming or LeBron's leaving, or LeBron something before Cleveland is in the title.
Exactly. So hey, this move got the whole NBA Twitter world talking. It's got some intrigue. It's spicy, and you're curious. Are they a 4 seed, a 2 seed, a 7 seed? Like, I don't know. So, but I'll definitely be that first month of the season, I'll be catching a couple of Cleveland games to see how good they really look with Spider Mitchell out there.
Which would be perfect considering this year for 2K. For the Legend Edition, the $150 edition that they're doing, you get NBA League Pass for buying it.
Oh, that's dope. And one thing we didn't put in the show notes, I can just kind of squeeze it in here, is the rumors that League Pass is going to get cut in half in terms of pricing. Yeah. It's supposed to be $99 for the standard, and I think $150 for the bonus, which used to be like $250 for like the kind of more expensive version. Yeah. So it's been cool to see if that happens. It's reported, it's heavily reported, so I'm assuming it is true. But technically, we haven't gotten the league announcing it or even having it available for purchase right now. But that's great news for NBA fans because League Pass is the best way to watch most of the games, and if they're making that cheaper, that's good for everybody. So I didn't know that was part of 2K. That's pretty dope, too.
Absolutely. They need to. Like, let's be frank. People are watching the games somewhere. Like, let's make it realistic and reasonable to pay for. Like, I'm sorry. Like, paying $250 to be able to watch League Pass when you can go watch it and stream it on, through a website, it's just not realistic. But now, like, people used to download a lot of movies and shows for free. But now that they have the streaming prices at such a reasonable price, it's way easier to just do that. It doesn't take up the space. It's high quality. You're getting it from the source and way easier to do that. So let's get League Pass like that, where it's like you could download it illegally, but it's like not that expensive, so you can still enjoy the best version of it, good quality, without having to do that.
Yeah, and you get to rewatch it. You get the play-by-play. I'm optimistic. I'm definitely happy League Pass has gone down in price. Hopefully, obviously, it's going to mean a bunch of people are going to be like, oh, yeah, I'll buy it. Get everything. That's pretty good. Get everything. So I've had League Pass every year, kind of because of the work that I do. I feel like I need to, but I've never felt like I got a good deal. It's kind of like I have to pay for this. So okay, I'll pay for this.
Yeah.
So this year, I feel like maybe it won't be. It won't sting as much because it'll feel like a good value versus the last couple years.
No, I'm with you. Also, we should talk about it since we're on the subject that it has been announced today that with addition to the Michael Jordan edition and the Devin Booker cover, they're also going to be having J.Cole, which to me is like an iconic moment in basketball and like hip hop and sneakers, because like he's kind of in the perfect subject for us to talk about, right? Because his whole theme for his music, right? His albums like have been about basketball and sports, like the off season, right? The comeback or come up, all these different. Forgive me if I misspeaking on the album name. Sorry, I don't want to get butchered. By the J. Cole fans.
He's got a lot of
the Friday Night Lights. Yeah.
Like sports and athletics, and he played professionally. In a league overseas too, which was cool.
Yes, the African NBA league, right? Oh my! I'm terrible with the acronyms. There's so many letters to follow. Once you get past NBA,
it wasn't here.
Yeah, I know. I flew too close to the sun, guys.
hit me on the head. I was like, yo, overseas. He played overseas.
I feel
But
bad because I met the person who's running it, and it's a growing league right now, especially like with overseas, like with sports. Basketball in Africa is growing.
oh
So,
yeah, for sure.
uh, but I want to also transition into a more serious subject right now, because this recently a quote from from John Wall came out, and I want to commend him for opening up in an interview and sharing this. He talked about committing suicide when he's going through his difficult time. He had tore his Achilles, his mom passed, and his grandmother later that year, and it was a tough time for him. And I think just as men, it's difficult to discuss these things. We kind of have this where we not show our emotions, right? And then especially as like a public figure too, people are cruel, man, online, and they'll say anything just to try and get a rise out of you. So I wanted to take a moment to just talk about it's important for mental health, and that I really commend him for coming forward and speaking about about his struggles.
Yeah, 100%. I saw that too, and I was shocked when he said that. I was like, "Whoa," 'cause I think someone when I first saw it on Twitter, it was just like, "Oh, John Wall, like personal interview or something like that." It didn't tell me like what happened, and then I watched the clip, and I was really taken aback by it. But it's kind of the classic thing we all tell each other, like you don't know what that person across from you is going through. And yeah, I didn't think about the fact that yeah, you lost two close family members in the same year, and then last year, having to sit out and all that, and not being able to do what you want to do.
And pretty much the last 5 years too. If we're being honest, he's been struggling with injury for like 3 to 5 years now.
Yeah, so injury issues, not being able to play, having close people pass, and then amidst all the COVID stuff and everything too, it can start weighing on you. So yeah, that's a very extreme, scenario. Obviously, that he was even thinking about that is just sounds wild to many of us. Mm-hmm. But like I said, you never know what someone's going through, and these are people. We have fun, and it's entertainment, and we're enjoying it. But there are people, underneath those jerseys who have to deal with like life stuff, and life stuff, can just take over everything. And yeah, I'm obviously definitely glad. Hopefully he's in a better place now. It seems like he's pretty happy. I've been seeing some clips of him, the classic, summer.
Yes, yeah, those basketball, like, man, if everybody played how they did in the summer, man, everyone, there'd be way more max players. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, for sure. But he looks like he's happy. He's in good spirits. He's open enough to talk about it. So I'm definitely glad about that. I mean, I hope he drops like 30 and the Clippers lose by 20, but that's about as far as like.
Yeah. I'm rooting for him as a person and a player, but not for his team at all, for sure.
Yeah, it's not like a fantasy basketball thing. Like, I hope he kills it, but like his team loses, Like,
exactly. He's like, man, he has to come out season of the year, like comeback player of the year, and like, and then everybody else in that team is like, wow, this team broke down. I'm with you. But I think we also have a very special Sports Illustrated cover that you're gonna lead us in on. Let's talk about that.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, we have a Sports Illustrated cover. SI did a feature on LeBron and his kids, right? Because his kids are coming up in high school. He's talked about it so many times about wanting to play basketball with them at a professional level, wanting to hold on long enough for his kids to be ready. And now we're starting to see his kids kind of playing in a bigger level, tournaments and AAU games, and kind of starting to shine. And there's a feature here as a Petty on the online, showing the cover here of the SI story. And it was really, I thought it was really heartwarming and touching, hearing him talk about his sons, how he felt about them, how they've been playing. And he's got a lot of good quotes there talking about he's always taking a look and seeing who's got picks and what's going to be possible. And now he's, he had dreams of playing with Bronny, but now he wants to play with his youngest one as well, who's really grown. I've only seen a few clips of him, but he's had a growth spurt that's been, really wild over the last year or so. So, yeah, what did you think when you saw this, Petty? Have you read the article? What do you think about the whole LeBron and his two kids kind of coming of age and maybe him playing with them?
Well, for me, I'm always doing it from the sneaker perspective. I think that's like so special about it is like he's a player that has his own signature sneaker by itself, and his kids are able to they're at the point where they're playing basketball, and obviously they're very high profile players just because they're LeBron James kids, but they're being able to debut like sneaker colorways. And like to me that's big because one, that means the kids like it. Like, you know what I mean? They like the shoe. They didn't just wear it once. I'm seeing them wear it at like, tournaments and stuff like that, which is like shows that hey, these shoes people are gonna like. These shoes are like the younger generation is kind of feeling them and I've seen a lot of like positive feedback on it. So I think that part of it is just like really really cool as like someone who is into the sneaker culture. I think that's what like a very special like no one's ever done anything like that. There's nothing that's even like where think of any other like situation, maybe like Marcus Jordan playing in some like custom PEs, maybe in college, but that's not the same as while your dad's still gonna be wearing that same shoe in that season, that same shoe that season. Like that's really cool. So I think that's awesome. I also was thinking too, like I had this question, like if you were in that situation, would you want your dad to be like on your like would you want your dad to be on your team like going into the NBA like that, like with Bronny? Like how would you feel about that?
I think it would depend on the way my dad kind of approaches things. Like my literal dad, yeah, that'd be cool. So I'm like, I know him already, so I feel like he'd give me the space I need to and try to kind of stay out of the way. Now LeBron's not a person who's ever given anyone space and stay out of the way.
Yeah.
So I wonder what that would be like. Would it feel like you're being babysat? Would you feel like you don't have an opportunity to really do your own thing? Would it be worse because it's going to be harder on you than like anyone else? Like it's a very interesting dynamic. It's really funny. I didn't think about what if like, Bronny requests not to play with his dad.
Yeah. Or like even having your own like SI cover, like like I was just wondering like maybe they would want it to be on there by themselves, you know what I mean? Maybe they haven't earned it because like honestly, let's be honest, they're both top prospects, like they're actual like D1 prospects in my opinion. But we know that the reason that they have the type of acclaim they have is because of their dad. But I also would feel like, hey, like I don't know if you've what capacity you played sports, but like there's that kind of locker room brotherhood camaraderie where you talk about like guy stuff and stuff that you would maybe not want to talk with your parents about. You know what I mean?
Right? Yeah.
Or you wouldn't want your mom to know about. And I'm sure he understand that I'm sure LeBron understands that to a degree, but like he's already like kind of like the corny, overbearing dad already. You know what I mean? Like the classic dad. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like it's special, and it's like I always commend any man who's in it, takes care of his kids and puts them first. Like beyond that, like the critique I don't care about. But I was just interested in what you thought about that.
Yeah. So, the feature was great. Go ahead and read it. It's on SI now, so you can just go online and check it out. And I'm more optimistic, especially seeing how they've played recently, that they can actually pull it off, and it wouldn't feel like ridiculous that they're like top prospects or top draft picks. So it'll be curious to see in the next couple of years or so when Bronny's got the opportunity, if he makes the jump straight to the NBA. After the 1 year, he's got to play 1 year at Duke, or at least be 1 year removed from graduating.
Mm-hmm.
Technically you don't have to go to college, but you just have to wait a year. So I'll be curious to see what happens there. It'll also depend on how he plays in college, right? If he kills it at Duke, well, then that makes the decision easy. But if he struggles, then who knows? We'll see what happens. So there's a lot of factors into this idea, but so far I think it's going well, and I'm curious to see how it finishes up.
Awesome. Are we ready to move on to sneaker news right now? I think we've covered everything basketball.
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right. So our lead story today, and it was a tough toss up because there's some pretty cool sneaker stories. But the one that we're going to lead into is that Nike and John Geiger have resolved their lawsuit. The lawsuit that they had against John Geiger. For anybody who's unaware, John Geiger is a sneaker designer, and he has some designs that are similar to Nike designs and like common staples in sneakers. Before we get into that, I'm gonna read the statement that him and Nike released. It says, Nike and John Geiger have resolved the lawsuit related to Nike's Air Force One trade dress and John Geiger's footwear products, specifically the GF-01 shoes. The lawsuit has been resolved through an amicable resolution that includes a consent judgment. As part of the resolution, John Geiger has agreed to modify the design of his GF-01 shoes. Nike respects John Geiger as a designer and other designers like him, and both parties are pleased to resolve this dispute in a way that allows John Geiger to continue building his brand while also respecting Nike's intellectual property rights in its iconic Air Force One trade dress. So, I feel like if that's the statement. I feel like if I was in a lawsuit with them and was able to force Nike to say that, like, Nike respects me, like in the statement, like I think I would frame that, like, you know what I mean? I have that part in highlighters talking about Nike respects me. Yeah, they better. But I think that's pretty cool. I think anytime you see lawsuits against like designers that are not like big name, it's not like Adidas was stealing it. It's like he's a big designer within people who know about sneaker culture, but he's not like one of these big corporations. I always feel like it's kind of corny when you like have lawsuits against people like that, because it's like these are the people that kind of push forward style and design, the shoe customizers and stuff like that allow the style and colors to be pushed forward. I see the resemblance. I don't know if you guys see you can kind of see the sneaker design right there. But like for me, like, have you seen the Bapes? The Bapes look exactly like that, except for with the star.
Yeah.
And I think they have a stake in Bape now, so that might be a little bit different. But it wasn't always like that. They weren't always owned or partly owned by Nike. So like to me, I'm like, why are you specifically like picking on this person? Probably because he's making some money because people like his style and his design. You know what I mean? Right. To the sneaker. But what do you think about it, Evan?
Yeah. It was cool that they came up with a statement. I'm glad they resolved it, and whatever modifications he made, he can still have the shoe out, which I think is good. Nike's a big corporation. That's what big corporations do. They try to protect stuff. They try to trademark everything to make it impossible to do anything. I definitely see the similarities, but I mean, there's no way anyone would confuse that with an Air Force One. Like the design looks
exactly.
So it's not like someone's going to get confused with what they're buying. They're not buying an Air Force One. They're buying a different type of sneaker, right? So I feel like that was, that's probably why it got resolved and they were able to find some kind of common ground. But I'm definitely glad it got resolved, and hopefully, John's gonna be able to continue doing the different products he's making, and won't have any more issues with Nike or anyone else.
Yeah, I'm like optimistic about that. I think it's cool when it gets resolved that way. We get a little bit of like a peek behind the curtain as far as like in the legal proceedings and stuff, like seeing like how like Nike views their product and views people who are in that space, So I'm glad it got resolved, because I think that it would be like really bad, and they're not in their interest if they like are like suing people who are like, because honestly, like, like it'd be like suing somebody who's like an Air Force One customizer too. Like, I know it's different because, like you said, it's a different design and stuff. No one's gonna confuse them. But it's like, why are you suing someone who's like really kind of furthering your product and making people like they still have to buy it from you guys, right, before they customize it and stuff like that. You're getting your money. So I don't know. I don't like when big companies sue people for that type of thing, unless it's just like blatant,
Right. Yeah.
Now leading into our next story, I'm going to let you set it up before I go into the story, but right now, Serena Williams, GOAT, has a lot of attention right now from the sports world. And why is that?
Yeah, it's because she's performing in essentially her final, tournament. She's at the U.S. Open, and she just beat the number 2 seed in the second round. She also finished playing in the doubles with her and Venus, who they unfortunately lost. Yeah. But it was like the last time they'll likely play because she's retiring, and she was killing it, and she wasn't brought in, and projected high in this tournament, but she still was able to knock off the number 2 seed, and she's continuing her her career. It's like now it's every game, every match, trying to win one more slam. So it's really interesting, and as you can see, everyone's tuning in. It's like it's kind of wild to think. I guess it's kind of rare to see, especially because it's an elimination kind of situation where this might be the last time I ever see them play. Oh, they got another one. This might be the last time I ever see them play. Oh, we got another one. So
yeah,
exciting. And she's performing so well. I know that clip's been going around, the one where they asked her, she's surprised, and she's like, "I'm Serena Williams," So it's been really exciting. It's been really cool to see everyone kind of enamored by it, and it's taken the sports world by storm in a way. I can't remember the last time a tennis match has done that, and that's been cool to watch as well.
Yes, the way I would describe it, hang with me because this one's going to be a little bit of a combination. It's like the Tiger Woods craze, like how he can bring people to the sport, like who are casual fans, who don't even watch, tennis. He can bring them to the sport, mixed with a little bit of like Kobe's last game, where it's like everyone's watching because it's the last game, but it's like if Kobe made the playoffs though at the same time, you know what I mean? Because it's like you don't know if this is last series, it's his last game, so it kind of is like a combination. But it reminds me of that because it's like most people already knew Kobe. I don't think random people who are not into basketball were watching that game. Right. Maybe, and I'm not to take away from from Kobe because he's transcendent of basketball, but I just know that like with Tiger Woods, like I was not worried about soccer, tennis or golf without Serena and Tiger Woods. They got me into it, and then I followed it after that. But it wasn't like I was just like Nadal's not doing that for me,
Right, yeah.
So it's just such a special kind of unique thing, and the reason we're bringing the story up is because of this. Everyone knows that Serena is signed to Nike, and she has Nike gifted Serena special Air Forces inspired by some of her iconic tennis outfits. And if you're watching, on the screen, I definitely recommend, like I said, I always tell everybody, I recommend you watching it through the web show on YouTube, because we pull up some of the visual aids. You can see some of these outfits, these iconic outfits throughout her career that she wore, and they have like sneakers that are matching the colors of, and it's just awesome. Like that, Nike is really good about like honoring their athletes that telling their story. Like that's what I think makes Nike special, and why they're the best marketing / sneaker company in the world, because they always tell the story. And if there's not a story, they're gonna make one up. They're gonna design the shoe around a story. It'll be like a all black Air Jordan 1 with a smudge on it, and it'd be like, yeah, the one time that Michael Jordan smudged his shoes on his way to the locker room, and they'd be like this, like the smudge ones, like they're gonna have, yeah, exactly. They're gonna be like the smudge game, and they're gonna tell a story, and they're gonna help you get behind it and give you a chance for young fans to kind of relive it and get to see it themselves. What do you think about this?
Yeah, it's awesome. I've seen a couple of these, but didn't actually watch the whole Instagram posting. I saw someone on Twitter, but it's super dope. It's really cool. Like, that'd be awesome if I'm thinking in my life, not that I'm a sports legend or anything, but like any of the things I used to wear a lot and stuff like that. If someone was like, hey, I made custom sneakers designed on like some of the outfits that you love to rock when you were like in high school and like when you were in college and stuff, that would be super dope. I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of does look like that blazer jeans combo I did then, or this does look like that sneaker plus that shirt that I would always wear and stuff like that. It's a really cool idea, and they executed it really well. And it's created some really unique colorways too, which we haven't seen from these shoes. So yeah, I think it's a great idea. It came out really nice, and like you said, they treat their stars well. I'm glad they resolved their stuff with Kobe and the foundation and all that, so that's been good. And LeBron's been there his whole career. He doesn't seem like they're had an idea of switching up from Nike. And Serena's also had a long time there, so it seems like everyone who's been there has been pretty much happy. And if not, they've found ways to resolve things like that lawsuit we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. My favorite pair from those ones are the black and red ones to go with her black and red outfit, man. When she was playing on that clay court. I don't remember what the name of that is. Believe me, I'm definitely a casual tennis fan. Don't try to come in my mentions trying to mention to me about tennis. I'll be like Venus and Serena. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, I know some of them, like, is it Agassi? Is that how it's pronounced?
Agassi. Yeah.
Agassi. I love his shoes, like the shoes that he had.
He had a great book. It was kind of dark. It's called Open. He had a rough talk about not knowing what someone went through. His dad kind of like forced him into tennis, and I'm talking about he would be playing like 6-8 hours in the summer, like hating the sport, and like he still developed the greatness for it. And yeah, it's a great book if you ever want to get into it. But yeah, Andre Agassi was definitely a legend.
Yeah. So I know a few. Like I said, I know a few. There's like a few players, but like I said, the one who can draw me on a random Monday, you know what I mean? After working, sitting in traffic, and I'm like, man, I just want. Serena's playing. Like, I gotta see this, and like her dominance is what's been special. It's almost like it's like Kobe in his last game. The reason I use that one is because like Kobe in his last game, he knew it was his last game, but it was enough where he could give you another game. You know what I mean? Like a classic game. We didn't know that at the time, but he had enough in him to do it. And he was like, I'm leaving it all out here today because after this, there's nothing else for me to leave.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, this is her last one. So it's like, and you can just see her playing at the level that you've known her to play. Like she said, she's just Serena. And just Serena is like all-time greatest tennis star of all time. You know what I mean? Honestly, if there's a short list of people who I think is the greatest athlete of all time, and she's on there. She's up there with Bill Russell, with Michael Jordan, with LeBron, with Michael Phelps, with exactly what's his name, from the runner from Jamaica?
Oh, Usain Bolt.
Usain Bolt, yeah, him. Like those people who have just like dominated. Oh, and then also, like, I know it's weird to say Tom Brady. It's so weird. It's weird to say him as an athlete because you're not used to him. He's not outrunning people or anything like that, even in his prime. But he is an athlete. He takes care of himself on a different level and stuff like that. So there's a short list of like all time great athletes, and she's definitely on there. Like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But yeah, let's move on to the next story. Kanye West is being Kanye West.
You'll have to be more specific.
The end. The end. So a couple things from Kanye this week. It's always legendary whenever Kanye does a rant because no one looks at Kanye any greater than Kanye looks at Kanye. Like, there's not anybody who supports Kanye more than Kanye. And that's what we love about him. It's also this thing that frustrates us, and we hate when he's being unreasonable because he doesn't ever think he's wrong or unreasonable. You know what I mean? And he knows that about himself and still can, it's almost like a superpower, right? And it's kind of what helped him to be great, because a lot of people who don't know, like, when Kanye West had his Yeezy for Nike, it was a phenomenon. Everyone loved it. The Yeezy 2 is considered one of the greatest sneakers of all time, and most people have the Yeezy 2 Red October colorway as like the most iconic, like one of the top 2 greatest sneakers of all time. And that's a lot with like Michael Jordan having the Jordan 1, right? But at the time, like, Nike wasn't ready to give him the type of royalties that they do like sports athletes, like, because he wasn't an athlete. They're like, can athletes sell shoes? Now fast forward 5-10 years, who's selling more shoes? Like, Kanye West is selling more shoes than LeBron because you can wear, like, we're not playing basketball 24/7. People aren't. It's not 2010 where we're wearing elite socks with cargo pants and Kevin Durant's. You know what I mean? She was like, it's not like that anymore. So now he was ahead of his time and stuff like that. And having that type of like, forward thinking and stuff is like what makes like Kanye great. But on the other hand, he also, like you say, he doesn't think his poop stinks, right?
Yeah.
And today, that's a long lead in to say that he has revealed his plans. I'm sure much to the chagrin of the Gap and Adidas, who he has contracts with. And he wrote this note. He says that we're going to open a Yeezy store worldwide, starting in Atlanta. Who would be the best to open it? I'll buy land or building. Then we're gonna open up in every state. Then internationally. There's a lot of weird spacing in this, by the way. Anyone who has 10 years of retail experience and is ready to change the world, post your Instagram handle or store location in the comments, and we'll find you. I signed with both Adidas and Gap because I contractually stated they would build permanent stores, which neither company has done, though. I've saved both of those companies at the same time, which he's not lying, though. Like, this is the issue. Like, sorry to stop mid statement, but this is like facts. Like, he's really, and he says, I'm gonna show you how to use social media. But this is facts. Like, I think he had posted like a couple weeks ago that like 68% or 60 something percent of all of Adidas online sales are from like Yeezy.
That's wild.
That is. It's kind of given way to all these other collaborations, people wanting to collaborate with Adidas. You can't tell me that Pharrell would have this extensive human line with Adidas, or some of these other places would have been reaching out to Adidas if, like, Kanye didn't make them cool. And that's just the facts of it. But, like, he also went on another rant, where he was talking to the Adidas. He's gone on a couple rants this week, but where he was talking to it was a bunch of, like, older white men, just frankly, and it's kind of very visceral to see that, like, you know what I mean, like him over here, them having to like tuck their feelings in and have to just listen to him rant and be like, with Gap, I think he was talking to the Gap executives actually.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Yeah, and he said he was like, we sold out with like one commercial, every one of these hoodies with no writing on them. Like, just from my one commercial, just because it was easy collaborations. Like, give me my respect. And I think he was actually, in that video, I thought he was spitting facts. I didn't think he was, like, being unrealistic. He wasn't being rude or disrespectful. He was just like, hey, like, and he was being a little bit over the top. He said something like, the one thing I learned from Virgil, that if I feel like, if you feel like something's killing you, then it's really killing you. I felt like that was a little, too woke. For me, maybe because I'm not friends with him like he was, that was, that means something different. But for me, that was just a little over my head. My third eye wasn't open. But he, I don't know. I just think I wanted to make sure that I contextualize that, because he's important to the culture. And he's gonna be, his Nike contract, his Adidas contract is going to be ending soon. So he might be going independent, or he might be re-upping, or wanting some different type of power there. So I just want to highlight that. Did you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens next with Yeezy and his sneaker line and his Gap, situation. It was always an interesting collab when people heard it. It was like, well, why the Gap? And he's always talked about wanting to do things at scale, and Gap has some of those resources and some of those storefronts, as he mentioned. But it seems like mixed. With Kanye, it's always funny because like you said, he'll trash both places and then still work with them. So you never really know what's going to happen. But it's definitely kind of a TBD on how things are going with Gap. I think things with Adidas are pretty good. Minus just getting more access and making more sneakers is mainly the main problem. Other than that, I think everything there is going pretty well. So hopefully, I would actually like to see him re-up with Adidas, just because it gives him a scale that maybe he can't do on his own. But it'll definitely be interesting to see what the next moves are for him, and I definitely want to see what happens with the rest of this Gap collaboration and kind of how successful it is.
Yeah, I saw a guy, his name's Sneaker Fetish. He's a content creator, a sneaker, and he was tweeting about tweeting about that, like, it's gonna be interesting if Kanye does go independent, because like part of what's made his brand special is that Ultra Boost that they have in the sneakers, which is like, why I don't know if you have any sneakers with Ultra Boost in it, but it's extremely comfortable. Awesome. And that's kind of like the whole thing, Yeezy Boost, right? That marriage of those two things. So and like for me, I'm hearing that, like, we're hearing like about Jaylen Brown and Kyrie possibly signing to him as like basketball thing. I wouldn't want that if he's not with Adidas, because like I don't want like an untested. I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want, like, even if he's willing to invest the money, like the advancements in technology and stuff like that, they spend millions and millions of dollars to make sure that these shoes fit right, and that and I just don't want I wouldn't want like Kyrie going out there in some shoes that have not been tested enough. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit concerned about that if he goes, independent. But other than that, like, I'm excited to see what he does next.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. And I think we're gonna wrap it up right there. I think we hit everything that we wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I was waiting to see if there was anything that you missed that you wanted to go.
Yeah, we're good.
yeah, we're good. But yeah, go ahead and bring us out.
All right, so thank you so much for watching. Once again, make sure you like the channel and you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the videos coming up in the Petty in the Post web show. We're also available on all streaming platforms. If we're not in the platform that you prefer, just make sure you comment to Petty, let them know where you want to listen so we can work on getting that. Once again, my name is Edwin Garcia, aka E Creates. We got Petty as LA, and we got Dalton on the eyes in the sky. You can't really see him right now. He's out there watching us. We appreciate you being here. See you next time, Petty.
Take care.